Notice how the graph goes all the way to the left. It keeps going. So that represents negative infinity. And then it goes to the bounding value or the critical value 8. Now we need to decide parentheses or brackets. So on the negative infinity, on an infinity, we always are going to have a parenthesis. And in this case, on the 8, we have it closed in, so we're going to do a bracket, okay, because it gets to the value 8. Now here we have another scenario. This is a double-sided inequality where there's 2 critical values. So I'm going to drop those 2 critical values in here. And we're saying all the solutions to this inequality are represented between those 2 things, okay? So, or another way to say it would be, we want -2, if I'm reading the inequality, -2 to be less than the shaded stuff or to the left of the shaded. So -2 to the left of the shaded, okay? And then we want, which would be an open circle because it's not underlined, and we want the shaded to be left of 5, or the shaded to be less than or equal to 5. So less than or equal to 5 would be a closed-in dot, and we want it to be less than that. So here, but we can't cross over -2 because this part says -2 needs to be less than x. And conversely, we can't cross over 5 because this part says it has to be less than or equal to 5. But we have an open circle and a closed circle because of the inequality signs. Got it? Got it. All right, here we go. Unions. Okay, here's another way to say it. We have this word or in between. What or means is we take all of the information from both of the statements that are written, okay? It's also known in interval notation as the U, okay? Or nope, meaning it's an upside down U. And so what we do is we go ahead and graph it, and then we take a look. We can take a look at how to write the interval from there. But we know we need that symbol in there. So here we go. The first one says x is less than -1. So I'm going to drop -1, and we want x to be the shaded to be less than that, which would be to the left of open circle. And we have x is greater than or equal to 6. So we're going to drop in 6, and greater than or equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. And that is greater than, so that's to the right on the number line, okay? Now let's turn around and take a look at the intervals. So we're going to take them both separately. Because they're 2 separate parts of the graph. Why not, right? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so on that one, we have, it's pointing to the left and it's going forever to the left. So that's going to be negative infinity. And then we have, it stops at that critical value of -1. So we need to write that critical value down. Now we need to decide what symbols to put around it. Do we do a parentheses? Do we do a bracket? So on infinity, we always do a parenthesis. On the critical value, we decide, is it closed? Is it open? Is it underlined or not underlined? It's not underlined and it's open, so we have an open bracket or a parenthesis. Okay, now let's look at the other one. We have a critical value 6. It goes forever to the right. So we're going to do infinity, keeps going, you know what I mean? And then decide on the symbols to use. So we have a closed dot on 6, so that's going to be a bracket, and then parentheses on an infinity, always a parenthesis on an infinity. One thing to note, a thing to double check, these should be in theoretical, like kind of numerical order, right? Negative infinity concept is less than -1, we could say, which is then less than 6, which is then less than infinity. Those should be in numerical order as you go from left to right. So don't mess it up. Don't flip it. This would be wrong. Okay, if you wrote that, that would be wrong. Don't do that. Okay. All right, here we go. X is less than 5, so we're going to graph that. So we drop a 5, and we want x is less than that, so it's going to be an open circle to the left. And then x is, you know, this one's kind of tricky. We're not going to do the tricky ones right now, so we're going to skip those 2. But I think you get the gist of the point. So here we go. All right. So we're going to explain the following why these are incorrect. Here we go. If we turn around and we look at this, we go x is less than x is less than -4. Let's see if that works. So, but x is in between that, right? So if we go 3, open circle, this says we want 3 is less than x. So we would want to shade here. This says we have -4 and it's less than that. So we go there. But here's the problem. That is not a one that we can write together as a single inequality, because like this inequality says like the shaded should be between 3 and 4, but when we graph it separately, well, we're not gonna be able to do that. So because it's not between on the graph, right? Like x is supposed to be between 3 and -4 in the picture with the way those symbols are pointing to, but like in the picture when we graph them separately, we don't wind up shading in between. So like that's a problem for sure. That's like a problem. So instead, this, if we wanted to represent that graph, we would say x is less than -4, or the word or, because they're pointing opposite ways, x is greater than 3. As an interval, that would be -infinity to -4, and parentheses, that fancy just upside down U symbol. What up? It means union. And then 3 to infinity. Okay, here we go. -4 to infinity. That's a problem because because of the bracket. So it actually should be -4 bracket to a parenthesis on the infinity. And then this one is a problem because they're not in numerical order. The -3 should come before the 5. Not the other way around. What? So these need to be switched. If that's what we mean, if this is supposed to represent the graph that looks like this, right? If that's the graph that it should represent between those two, it needs to be the -3 needs to be written first, and then the 5 second. Numerical order. All right, number 10. No brackets on infinity. What are you doing? Brackets on infinity. Come on. Billy Ray, what's happening? It should be parentheses on infinity. Cool? All right. Let me know if you have any questions. That was crazy. Rewind it. Really try to understand that, because when you're rocking it in class tomorrow, we're going to have to do some conversation, if you know what I mean. Let's do this. Let's get it.